what you created. Everything surrounding me, you made it. Everything's so beautiful the way it flows together. I think I hear birds singing your praises. Amen. I swear you make me feel like I'm your favorite. Oh, it's the way the birds.
Welcome to the Awkward Autistic Black Girl. I'm Alicia, the Awkward Autistic Black Girl, and today we're going to be talking about autism and eye contact. Excuse my hair, it's a little poofy, but you know, we're working on it. Eye contact is one of the most discussed topics in the autistic community. While it is a popular topic within the autistic community, many neurotypical individuals are also extremely preoccupied with the eye contact of autistic individuals. So today we're going to discuss what autistic eye contact is, how it works, and why it matters so much in the autistic community. First, I'd like for us to discuss what autism is, because there's a huge misunderstanding of what it is and how it shows up on people. So what is autism? Autism, or autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a neurological condition that affects how people interact, communicate, and process the world. So let's break that down. It is developmental, which means traits show up early in life. It is neurological, which means there is a difference in neurology, which is the way that the brain works. It exists on a spectrum, which means everyone's experience of the spectrum is different. But the key DSM-5 criteria for autism is still required to be met, like challenges with social communication, emotional expression, and sensory sensitivities. Autism also tends to be hereditary and may be genetic, though environmental factors also play a part. Why eye contact matters socially. This topic matters because eye contact, though it may seem small to autistic people, is a commonly misunderstood trait used to frame how we are viewed by neurotypical people. Eye contact can impact how we're treated in school, work, relationships, and society as a whole. Neurotypical people often view eye contact as a form of confidence, a form of honesty, a sign of intelligence or competence, or a form of connection. But many autistic people do not experience eye contact the same way, which is why we need to challenge these assumptions. Eye contact in neurotypical versus autistic communication. The differences between neurotypical and autistic eye contact can vary greatly, but why is that? Neurotypical eye contact. Neurotypical eye contact is typically used to show engagement, signal attention, communicate empathy, and show respect. Again, it signifies active listening, confidence, and trust. It is often instinctive, meaning it is unconscious, automatic, which means it does not require consistent attention, and rhythmic, meaning it works naturally alongside facial expression, tone, and body language. Autistic eye contact. Autistic eye contact is often different. It may not be used to show engagement or respect at all. It is often not instinctive, meaning it is deliberate. It is not automatic, which means it requires consistent attention. And it is not rhythmic, meaning it does not work naturally alongside facial expression, tone, and body language. In many cases, autistic eye contact is manual rather than automatic. So an example I like to bring up is the difference between an automatic car versus a manual car. So one runs largely on its own, the other requires constant conscious input. That's often what the internal experience can be like for autistic people, if you catch my drift. What eye contact can feel like for autistic people. For autistic individuals, eye contact can feel intense. It can feel intimidating, aggressive, or invasive. Overstimulating, meaning it's physiologically stimulating or mentally stimulating to an excessive degree. It can be distracting, preventing concentration or causing you to have to divert your attention. It can also be disturbing in that sense. And painful. So many autistic people can experience distress in the same brain regions as physical pain. Autistic eye contact may exhibit atypical gaze patterns, which may appear as unnatural eye contact to some, intermittent eye contact while listening or auditorily processing, prolonged intense gaze, which may appear as unnatural eye contact or even creepy to some people, or avoiding eye contact entirely. This varies across the spectrum and is unique to each autistic person. Eye contact and autism diagnosis. Eye contact differences are often one of the earliest social differences observed in autistic individuals. Infants later diagnosed with autism may show reduced attention to faces, avoid direct gaze, look from the corners of their eyes, or engage differently with faces compared to neurotypical infants. Clinicians often look for patterns such as reduced eye contact during play, difficulty following another person's gaze, differences in joint attention, atypical gaze patterns, or intense prolonged gaze patterns. Specialized eye tracking technology is now used in autism research and clinical settings to better understand gaze patterns and aid in early identification. Important nuance. Eye contact difference alone does not diagnose autism, but gaze patterns are a clue among many other developmental, social, and sensory markers clinicians consider. Section 2. The science behind it. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, often gets overstimulated during eye contact in autistic people. This causes anxiety, so generalized anxiety.
Yeah.
Let me read that again. Which means a lot of autistic individuals can exhibit generalized anxiety, or they may have anxiety that is associated with an anxiety disorder. Stress, which means they can have acute, chronic, or traumatic stress when experienced over a lengthy period of time. This also triggers a fight or flight response because it activates the hypothalamus to command a person to act, so an action. This may be why autistic people, when they get extremely overstimulated in certain environments, feel the need to flee or leave. The role of masking in autistic eye contact. For some autistic people, masking includes learning to mimic neurotypical eye contact despite the discomfort it causes. This may look like forcing eye contact, rehearsing when to look away, counting seconds, looking between the eyes, smiling to offset perceived awkwardness, or overcorrecting and staring too intensely. For others, the discomfort is too intense to endure. Intermittent eye contact is all that they can comfortably sustain, or direct eye contact may not be possible at all. So let's clear up some myths. Not all autistic people avoid eye contact, and those who do aren't being rude. Many of us mask our discomfort to blend in, but it is cognitively draining. And avoiding eye contact doesn't mean we're lying, uninterested, or untrustworthy. It's just a difference in the way that our brain functions. Masking is a tool, not an identity. I want to note that strategic masking may sometimes be necessary for safety, employment, or navigating high-stakes environments, but chronic masking is cognitively draining, emotionally exhausting, and can contribute to autistic burnout. I want to make it clear that the goal is not to teach autistic people how to appear more neurotypical, but it is to create spaces where authenticity is safe. So now we're going to talk about my personal experience. So as a child, I was unaware. I didn't realize that I wasn't looking people in the eyes. I was also dismissed. So adults chalked it up to being shy or quiet. In my teenage years, a lot of these eye contact behaviors were pathologized. So people thought that I was being dramatic or standoffish. And then in my young adult years, I received a lot of visceral reactions. So people started demanding I look them in the eye, especially in confrontations. In job interviews, they became difficult because I was often perceived by people as lacking confidence. So the result of that was that I began masking. I forced eye contact. I calculated eye contact while speaking. I cognitively split myself between trying to perform socially and trying to process what was actually happening. I was still present in the moment, but I was overloaded. At some point, I stopped making myself uncomfortable in order to make others comfortable. Section 3, why eye contact is different for us as autistic Black individuals. The social consequences of eye contact differences in autistic Black women can be especially layered. We are often socially critiqued, misread, rejected, and over-scrutinized. Differences in eye contact may be interpreted as being rude, insecure, insincere, evasive, dishonest, intimidated, aggressive, detached, or disrespectful. Even eye movements like darting, scanning, or looking away while listening can be misinterpreted. But there is cultural nuance to this. In many Black communities, not making constant eye contact while listening is completely normal. Communication styles may differ based on generation, upbringing, region, urban versus rural areas, and cultural norms. A University of Wisconsin-Madison study found African Americans make more eye contact while speaking and less while listening, opposite of what some white American norms expect. This study does not consider disability status. There's also an intercultural communication issue. Western nonverbal social cues differ from traditional African nonverbal social cues. This causes Black individuals to be misperceived as disrespectful, guilty, or submissive by people who prefer Western standards of listening as the only valid indicator of active listening. What's crucial to understand is that Western nonverbal social norms are not universal. There's also an ethnocentrism issue. Many cultures outside of the Western American culture also view prolonged direct eye contact as rude, confrontational, and overly intense. Layered marginalization. For Black autistic individuals, this creates layered marginalization. We experience underdiagnosis, so autism is under-recognized in Black communities, pathologized behaviors, so we face judgment from both inside and outside of our culture, assimilation, so forcing eye contact to be able to gain employment, stay safe, or be taken seriously, and racial stereotypes remove nuance as well. Survival-based assimilation. So it's more than just a social skill. It can be the difference between surviving or struggling. Sometimes masking eye contact is not only about fitting in, it becomes about employment, safety, credibility, and survival. Pew Research states that Black people frequently experience higher levels of scrutiny across various settings, including workplace, law enforcement, and daily life compared to other racial groups. This also does not include disability status. So I have a personal experience and a culturally nuanced example of this. So in middle school, a white teacher once snatched my notebook because I wasn't looking at her while she was speaking. I was actually more engaged with what she was saying while I was listening and doodling, but she perceived it as disrespect and snatched/ripped through my notebook because I was writing on the notebook. I was doodling, but she snatched my notebook and it ripped through the next couple pages. Yeah. But I want to note that I'm hyperlexic and that removing stimulatory eye contact from a learning environment specifically helps me to be able to process auditory stimuli better and more accurately without distractions. So because this teacher took my processing style as a personal attack rather than a student accommodating themselves, she reacted with hostility, which in turn reinforced my own hostile behavior towards her. I was completely confused as to why she reacted the way she did, so I felt justified in sweeping all of her items off of her desk in response. It wasn't right, but my internal justice system felt that I was being unjustly mistreated and reacted in response to the perceived mistreatment. Now we're going to talk about eye contact, gender, race, and power dynamics. We're going to talk about the gender-based socialization that women specifically face and how that can conflict with the way an autistic brain functions. Women are socialized both explicitly and implicitly, to manage the comfort of others. Historically, Black women are expected to do this to an even greater extent due to social archetypes such as the mammy and the self-sacrificing caregiver, which position Black women as endlessly giving, emotionally resilient, and somehow without needs of their own. We are taught to appear warm, smile, soften ourselves, maintain socially acceptable eye contact, and communicate in ways that make others feel comfortable. At the same time, women are also taught to be cautious, especially around men. This creates a tension though. Make enough eye contact to appear respectful, but not so much that it is interpreted as flirtation, challenge, or confrontation. For autistic women, this social balancing act can feel even more intense. Autism can amplify discomfort with intense gaze, sensory overwhelm, hyper-awareness, hypervigilance, trauma responses, and difficulty navigating social rules. For Black autistic women, racial stereotypes add another layer, where confidence may be read as aggression, neutrality may be read as attitude, and difference may be read as defiance. That is a heavy social burden to carry. Coping, self-acceptance, and communication. You may be asking, what can I do in order to cope with all of these social expectations? How can I learn to accept myself and my autistic eye contact? And how can I communicate in ways where I'm not constantly being misunderstood? Those are all great questions to ask. There are some ways you have to cope. There are areas where you should learn self-acceptance, and there are areas where we can learn communication skills. So this is what helps me cope in environments that I have to be in. So scripting, rehearsing conversations helps me stay present in the moment. I pick 2 to 3 look points. So I rotate my gaze so that it's not fixated or frozen on any given thing. And I also comment on external visuals. So I may ask about a photo or ask about the decor or something in the room so that I can give myself time to recalibrate and connect with the person naturally. And then at work, I tend to look away and listen. So sometimes I need to reduce visual input to fully process what is being said. I'm still present, I just need to adjust so that I can stay regulated. And then self-acceptance and compassion. Have compassion for yourself. I'm still learning is a healthy mindset to have. Respect yourself and your communication style because it is valid. Reframe the situation properly. Eye contact is not a moral issue, so you don't need to beat yourself up over not aligning with others' expectations of you. And validate yourself. Your needs are real, even when other people do not understand them. How to communicate your needs, even when it's hard. Affirm yourself. You know your truth better than anyone. Be concise. Avoid over-explaining to people who aren't trying to understand. Find your people. There are people who do get you, so you need to find those people instead of, trying to convince people to get you. And then don't romanticize neurotypical kindness. If neurotypical people care, great, but don't build your entire self-worth on being accepted by systems and people that misunderstand your differences. And then last but not least, guard your peace. Not every misunderstanding deserves your energy. Other ways to show you care. Connection is not only communicated through the eyes. Other forms of connection include your voice, your facial expression, your tone, thoughtful gestures, active listening, consistency, and presence. Note, some of these other ways of showing up may be cognitively expensive, so utilize these strategies with your personal capacity in mind.
Yeah, don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself trying to
go against what your capacity allots for you. The workplace and misunderstanding. Jobs can be difficult spaces to navigate social norms. They are often chessboards of misunderstanding. There are often many issues with autism in the workplace due to the unpredictability of the individuals on the job, the differences in cultural backgrounds, economic standing, personality traits, and many other differing determining factors. Many autistic people struggle to maintain employment on jobs due to misunderstanding related to autistic traits. And since we're focusing on eye contact, I'll give you a couple of real life examples of my experiences with it. So my personal experience, at past jobs, I've experienced coworkers becoming fixated on my lack of eye contact. Sometimes it was projection. So people projected many ideas about why my eye contact was the way it was. And it was mostly people who disliked me or men who saw me as abnormal. Sometimes there were frequent misunderstandings. Many people interpreted my eye contact and drew negative conclusions about me because of how my eye contact presented. And sometimes there was racial bias. So some of the assumptions that were being made were associated with racially motivated stigmas about Black women. I've personally noticed a pattern of people who exhibit many behaviors rooted in insecurity or who are typically aggressive, often interpreting autistic differences as personal rejection. That can lead to gossip, mistreatment, exclusion, false narratives, and hostile work dynamics. Racial bias can really intensify these occurrences, especially when stereotypes about how Black women should look or behave remove the nuance of autism entirely. So, what I wish people knew. If someone avoids eye contact, please do not automatically assume that they are rude, dishonest, or disinterested. They may be overwhelmed, processing, overstimulated, anxious, or doing their best to stay regulated. And if someone not looking you in the eyes deeply bothers you, it may be worth asking yourself why and whether you've considered that the person in front of you may simply be different. So, advice for our autistic Black women. Not feeling comfortable with eye contact does not mean you are broken. It means that your brain may work differently. You are not required to change yourself in order to fit into a system that was not designed with you in mind. And if you choose to adjust, let it be because it serves you, not because you're being forced to show up in ways that are unnatural to you, that drain you, and that discourage you. So these are for two different groups of people. If you want to practice more comfortable eye contact, again, you can look at someone's forehead or between their eyes. You can limit yourself with your eye contact in intense environments. You can explain your needs when it feels safe, or you can use strategic masking sparingly, but not as your full-time identity. But if you want eye contact that is authentic to you, you should speak your truth, self-advocate, set strong internal boundaries, build resilience against misunderstanding, be comfortable making independent choices, and value your personal autonomy more than groupthink. And just know that authenticity will not resonate with everyone, and that is okay. In conclusion, to recap, eye contact is difficult for many autistic people. That does not make us rude, cold, dishonest, or unkind. There are ways to cope that still honor who we are, and the goal is understanding, not performance. So to all the awkward autistic Black girls out there, your way of being is enough. Your communication style is valid. Your needs are real. You don't need to go through pain just to appear normal. Besides, what's normal anyway? The real goal is to always be authentic to your needs despite the world's criticism. Do you struggle with eye contact too? How do you manage it? I'd love to hear your experience in the comments. If there's anything specific you'd like me to talk about, let me know and I'll likely do a video on it. Bye.